Some call it jungle juice, and some call it agricultural wine, but we call it cider, and that's good enough, I think.
It's in October that the countryman's year begins to slow down. Autumn is smouldering on towards winter. And down at Stockland, on the border of Devon and Somerset, Percy Copp and his son Terry and their friend Len Prim can turn once more to their seasonal distraction, cider. As Thomas Hood put it, when Eve upon the first of men the apple pressed with specious cant, oh, what 1,000 pities then that Adam was not adamant. For from this traditional West Country pastime has grown a cider industry which now apparently satiates an annual British thirst for 30 million gallons of the stuff, all brewed in giant metal vats from rows and rows of special apple trees. A far cry from Percy's aging orchard and his proven patent way, the country art of the cider maker. But the apples on Percy's trees can't be all that different from those in the commercial orchards, which fringe the holiday routes through Somerset and Devon. Apples with romantic names like Kingston Black, Hangey Down, Knotted Kernel, Yarlington Mill, and Foxwhelp. It's what he does with them that counts.
Well, then we get picking up the fallen apples. When we would go and perhaps pick up 14 or 16 bags, and the earliest apples first. You mustn't make it when the weather's hot. You want cool weather. The colder the weather, the better the cider, really, because, you know, they don't ate or anything. And, of course, we don't pick any special apples, we just mix them up. But some say we don't put in no black ones. They say we ordinary rotten, don't matter, because to purify itself. But black rotten, no, we throw them out.
They learned all they know about apples and cider from Percy's father, and now young Terry is catching on fast.
Father, he come here, I think about 60 years ago he come in this area. He used to be at Lime Ridges, in the farm up there. And they moved to Rodway into another farm. Then we came down here about 45 years ago. I was only a boy then. About 5 or 6 years old. I got the taste then, all right. That started me off, see?
Once all the apples have been collected and bagged, Cyril, another Stockland villager, joins the team to help unload and stack the apples in the dark and dry of the loft above the barn. In a plentiful season, it could take the men until the end of the year to process all the apples into cider. And anyway, there's other pressing work to do.
Well, you see, the first start off, simply, is well, when he comes on, say, in the fall of the year, September, well, you know, you can tell by your apple crop, roughly as you go on through the fall. And then in September, the early apples should be ripe. Well, I got a fair few Morgan sweets. We make them first, because they soon rot. Well, then, of course, we start off then, we'll get the process and everything ready. I mean, it may take us to Christmas to get through it. You know, because we do it in our spare time. We still got the other work to do, like.
Percy is as dedicated to his farm work as he is to his cider.
All right. That's a good bag apple.
But in his country calendar, there are a few landmarks to which he looks forward with more relish.
Last one coming up, Cyril. That's the one we've been looking for.
Then you got to put in first.
That's right. Take him back. We should know which one that is then, Jenner. All right there? Yeah.
It's no surprise that compared with, say, haymaking and harvest, the labours of the cider press attract more volunteers than usual. And each, like Cyril, is left in no doubt that his own particular cider wit is indispensable.
We'll make drop a good cider, this is.
We've been waiting for you, Dave, in fact.
Well, we got held up.
Did he? Oh.
Like wishing it over the old barrel.
Yeah, you're right. Better late than never.
Peter, who's the local postman, and his son Des complete the team of dedicated cider makers.
Where's that? Where's that?
If the barrel is sound and smelling sweet and clean to the cider maker's nose, then the ancient ritual can begin.
Well, there's no chemicals, there's nothing, nothing faked up at all, nothing put in it at all. Just the ordinary juice and just purified itself. Len, you must have dropped more.
No, I don't.
Yeah, because you wasted drop just now.
Whoa, that's actually down. Help yourself.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, our best.
The formalities must not be overlooked. Last year's crop has now matured to vintage status and must be appraised by all. This is where experience really tells, where years of cider drinking shows.
Get thrown, tell them there's one here for him.
Throw.
Yeah, I come in on that one now.
Yeah, mind the letters or so.
The others recognize that Cyril really knows his apples.
Yeah.
Bit shaky, old age pensioner.
Madam Step Lewis.
As Benjamin Franklin once put it, what you have told us is all very good. It is better to make apples into cider than to eat them.
Cheers, there.
All the best.
Thank you. Well, a rough cheese, we put up, say, about 14 bags. Well, that should make about 100 gallon, roughly. We had a more modern mill, and we smashed out, and it still went back to the old hand mill. But we should turn by hand.
Peter the postman would not claim to be an expert, but it's a change from sorting mail.
I just come for the company. So, you know, I enjoy their company of making the cider, but, well, it's just very little that I drink else unless I meet up with old George here and he just, what about a quick one then? And that means 2 or 3, you know.
Cyril, he's just retired, but he's a village carpenter. He's dealt with up in the loft, pushing the apples down into the machine.
So everyone knows his place. The apples roll, the work begins. A labour of love for cider. There are really 2 parts to cider making, the crushing and the pressing. The mill into which the apples are fed crushes them to form what Percy calls the pommy, from which they later press the cider.
Well, Peter, he pushes them through the machine with a stick to keep them fed through the machine. And Daisy's, Peter's son, he throws them up on the dish. And the retired postman and myself, we build the cider cheese with the help of a frame and straw. Build the 14 bags up. And with a bit of luck, that should run about 100 gallon.
The pommy is built up in layers separated by straw, the whole being called the cheese. This is the heart of a good cider. The care with which it's handled will be the make or break of a good cider year. Percy's standards, 100 gallons, or just about 2 hogsheads, is a poor pressing. But it's been a busy year, and the orchard has been neglected. He knows his style of farming is unfashionable, his cider pressing unproductive. But 2 hogsheads will see him through the winter, he and his friends. And there's still some cider left from last October. He's well off and in no hurry to change his ways. The cheese is almost complete, all the pommy bedded down with straw. Percy is pleased with the evening's work. Tomorrow is Sunday, and jobs that were not done today won't wait for Monday. Nor will the cheese, which will go on working through the night while the cider makers sleep. Percy's farm is about 100 acres. He has a herd of some 30 dairy cattle. There's no room for any more, and he sells the calves to other farmers.
Morning, Spirit. How are you? Nice morning.
The unpredictable fortunes of modern farming may force him and his son to change their style, perhaps to beef cattle or arable. Gone are the days when the small family farmer was an independent man, free of red tape and the complications of a market which he cannot see. And with these changes have come a persuasive realism which has swept away much of the romance of working on the land. Old Percy Copp is hanging on, but for his son Terry, it will never be the same.
Then the next night we meet again, and then we press the cheese and start currying cider.
Terry collects the other men from the village. Inside the barn, the cheese is waiting, heavy with apple juice. For the cider makers, the hard work of collecting and crushing is done. Ahead awaits a prize more tempting than their normal country work. Each of them eager to know the outcome of the cheese, from which will run a year's supply of homemade elixir to whet the social appetite and lubricate the tongue.
Cheese getting
Yeah, some more cheese, yeah. Oh, fair enough. Oh, we got a full team here now, so.
I'll be right tonight.
As Mark Twain aptly put it, Adam was but human. This explains it all. He did not want the apple for the apple's sake. He wanted it only because it was forbidden.
We better take off these bags in it, right? Yes, sir.
During the night, the weight of the cheese has forced out the first trickles of pure, unfermented apple juice.
Let me see what it's like.
The oak trough in which it collects is older than 60 years, as are many of the barrels which Percy uses year after year.
There's no too sweet for me. I can have a bit rougher.
It all adds up to that very distinctive flavor.
Beautiful. Like honey. Take down this board down. Now you better get ready. Jason, Pete and Sir will come down and take off the frame and put up the hatch. We can start pressing then.
Off comes the frame that has weighed heavy through the night. Now it must make way for sterner stuff, the man part of the cider maker himself. In the commercial cider brewery, the cheese is made up of nylon mesh instead of straw, and the whole thing compressed by 150 tons of hydraulic power. But the process is basically the same. It's simply a matter of scale. And, of course, the individuality of the apples that go to make up the cheese, and not forgetting the personal taste of the cider maker himself.
And you told him, man. He's fairly heavy, man.
That's somewhere put it in.
Yeah,
No, not too far. There we are.
With respectful care, the hatch is put back into place with the oak timbers that will take the strain of the ancient press.
that all right, boss?
Yeah, that looks pretty good, yeah,
Since last year's cider making, the cogs and worm wheels of the press have been shrouded in oiled sackcloths. Now they're unwound, and the mechanical simplicity of the cider press unveiled. Man and his machines have been partners throughout history, releasing him from the limits of his physique into the realms of his inventiveness. Percy's machinery may be simple, but it still does the job for which it was designed. He says his father used most of it as a boy.
And the press as well. They've been a new hatch put there and a new bed. But the real screws and that, and the top beam, that could be 100 years old for certain.
But as an art, cider making in Britain is much older. We may not have a soil and climate that favor the grapevine, as on the continent, but in apples we excel. It's the so-called bittersweet varieties which impart the characteristic flavor to English ciders. A subtlety of blend that reflects the English countryside.
They went.
As the loyal poet Keats once put it, "Oh, for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in the deep delved earth, tasting of flora and the country green."
We measured all in hogsheads. That's about 54 gallons, see? I don't think, we haven't missed a year. We had Mexican cider year. One year we made over 100 hogsheads. And the lowest we've been is this year. I made about 200 gallon at about 4 hogshead. You can drink it sweet, perhaps for the first week. But once it starts fermenting, I don't advise anybody to drink too much then. It's good as a tonic for you, that is. You don't want no salt, so you start drinking that then. Then after about 3 months, then there's a nice tang, a fizzy tang with it then. But we don't like it like that. We'd sooner have it when it's what we call a bit on the rougher side, see? That'd be 12 months to 5-year-old, anything like that. The older the stronger, the less we drink of it then. I've had some about 23-year-old. And that was mild, just like drinking a drop of whiskey. I had a glass 1.5 and I could feel my knees start aching. So that was enough. Yes, I didn't need no more of that. You get 2 men on that iron pulling, nobody know what pressure you did put per square inch to get the cider out. But you get it out there, it's as dry as chips nearly when you finish with it.
This dry, wrung-out waste of apple and straw was once used as feed for cattle through the winter, but with cautious moderation, as Percy well knows.
Because every churn of milk that leaves the farm, see, the first job that's done is a sniffer at these factories, and he just sniffs each churn of milk, and he can detect anything that's out of line with ordinary smell of milk. Different people said they've had but cider vinegar for cows, but I don't know. I think now that may be an old whim, you know, if somebody have tried it and the cow got better, but I don't think there's anything really in those old-fashioned things like that. You've heard of it, or I've heard of it, but I never experienced it anyway.
Now that the cider team have done their part as best they know, it's time for nature to continue the process in the barrel. But even that should be carefully chosen.
You get different tastes of cider out of different barrels. As the barrels are made by the coopers, they've been all through bond sometime. The first year or two, you specialists, now a lot of people like rum cider. You can taste that for 2 or 3 years. But sherry makes a cider a bit on the dry side. And you can taste that when you drink. Just like Mr. Pym said, when you've had to drink a sherry cider, you come outside the door, you gotta go back and have another one because you'll be dry again. There's a barrel year. We took off a few inch and he took off a Pedrick. Well, that's going back what, George?
Well, hell, I don't know.
Shoons was here about 20 year, and we've been here, say, 45. That's the...
65 years.
Yeah. I think the barrel might have been there 70 years. I think Oakie's the best, isn't it, for barrels?
Yeah, but it means you've got to look after the barrel.
Oh, yes. If you got a bad barrel, you'll have bad cider, only so.
Bound to, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. And, you know, the cleaner you can make it, the better, I think. I knew one, that was a postman. The postman seemed to turn like their cider, they all do. This postman, he'd start off in the morning, and he'd leave home 7 o'clock. When he'd call the first farm, say, 7:30, and he'd drink to every farm all the way round.
That's Frank Salter.
Frank Salter. Well, when he was really took bad and went to hospital, they still had to carry cider in there because they couldn't stop it all at once. Because his system was full of like, and that would have finished enough if it did stop. So they had to gradually feed down cider and gradually cut it down. And then when he got over it, like, but then he was never the same afterwards. That's Frank Salter. I mean, that's when you drink, start off 7 o'clock in the morning. Perhaps he may have been drinking 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons a day in the course of a day, wouldn't it?
You never starts before about 10, 11, do you, John?
No, about 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock,
yeah, well, you'll be all right for some time yet then.
Oh, I got it. Don't worry about it. I've had a good life so far.
Tis quite a dozen times stronger than beer, for certain. I could drink beer for pastime, but I could drink more beer than I could cider anyway. I don't think there's much strength in the beer really now, like there used to be. And another thing with cider, that now this is heavy land, clay, and they reckon that's where you get your best cider from, heavy lands. Different than on lighter styles. For what reason, I don't know.
He was. I fell down the bloody stairs and broke 4 ribs. He
told the doctor he fall downstairs, and that was all right, but I said he was going upstairs, doctor, he fall down. He wouldn't tell the doctor he fall backwards. Oh, we had some good times there, on.
What makes the cider blow its cork with such a merry din? What makes those little bubbles rise and dance like harlequin? It is the fatal apple, boys, the fruit of human sin.
The biggest cider drinker I've known was a feller called Pratt. Used to come round here with a thrashing machine outfit. Well, he'd drink nothing but drinking a gallon for breakfast. For he had his breakfast. If he come early.
Could he stand up straight after that?
Well, by the time the day went on, so his knees were seeming to give out, and by night time he was in a fair shape. But got hold to him in the end. His business went wrong, and, you know, his health went, and he died not long ago. You can't, it's more than a human body can stick. Well, the same we all drink, isn't it? I mean, if you like whiskey and you've done it excess, you wouldn't last many years. I don't think, anyway.
It's not long since the farmer paid his workers in hogsheads of cider, but now they make it together for the sheer enjoyment of keeping a West Country tradition alive. For Bercy and the cider makers of Stockland, there's more to it than just making cider.
Well, I enjoy all aspects of it, you know, but one thing I do enjoy most, if I do something to see a good result. Say doing a hedge, you put in a fortnight's work, and after you've done it, you see a good job done, you'll be happy. And that's the same with the cider here. It's a lovely cider.